Feeling stuck is actually not a bad thing. It is an indicator that you have outgrown your current situation, whatever that is. Feeling stuck means it's time to level up. So it's not, being stuck is not a bad thing. It's just an indicator. It's a sign that, oh, something needs to change.
Right.
Something needs to shift.
Right.
What is that thing?
Right.
Stepping into something that you don't want to step into, getting on the other side of that, not only does it improve the community, it improves you as an individual, which is why the community improved in the first place.
Right.
Because the community didn't change, you changed. And because you changed, you are now bringing a different level of servanthood to the community that it needs. Because if you don't give that level, the community starts to break. It is that growth, that development that you got going through that uncomfortable situation that then binds it back together. And as individuals linked together, if that is a philosophy that we are operating out of, that is a community that changes the world. That's big. Wow.
I think the core of purpose is different. I think it serves a purpose in the community, but because of the change that happens, purpose makes you operate to your highest level of self.
Yeah.
So just think about that. That's why it heals and stops generational curses and change the trajectory of certain people's families, which changes our community, because everyone's operating as their best self.
Yeah. Yes. That's
when
it.
Everyone operates as their best self, we Gucci.
We're
100, good. We don't have to do nothing else.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot of, when I say intuition, it just made sense for me early.
Yes.
Like that concept made sense to me early.
Yeah.
And every time I stepped outside of it and tried to make and do something else, it worked. Right? Like I've had what the world would consider success in arenas that I either was having to dim my purpose, set aside my purpose, or reface my purpose.
Yeah.
It worked temporarily, but it literally was sucking the purpose out of me.
Yeah. You couldn't sustain it.
It was contradicting.
Yes, because you were lying. Oh my goodness. We were just talking the other day about the importance of having external and internal alignment. Because as I'm working with people, you have to prove to me or show me that you have exhausted everything that you tried to do. Because again, I believe that I'm a vessel that God is using. So I, as an individual, cannot change your life. Okay? But me being aligned spiritually is what puts me in position to connect. But now, if you are still trying to do things within your own power, within your own will, within your ways and strategies, whatever I say to you is not going to matter if your external and internal aren't aligned. So external, you could be saying, yes, I'm ready to grow, develop, be better, break this habit, break this addiction. But internally, you've already said to yourself, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to make that sacrifice. I'm not willing to do that. So because internally is not aligned with the external, you stay the same. And when you stay the same, you become frustrated. And when you become frustrated, you start making decisions that are not aligned with your purpose. Like
100%.
You see what I'm saying? That's big.
Yeah, I think that is, and that's where a lot of people are, is the frustration. But that's a symptom.
Yeah, talk about it.
That's a symptom. That's not what's actually happening. So we keep trying to treat the symptom of not feeling well with numbing and keeping people around us that shouldn't be around us, staying in stuff we shouldn't stay in, or still shoving ourselves in corners that we don't belong in. And you just continue to be frustrated. And the scary thing about being in frustration for too long is you lose hope. And a hopeless generation is a scary thing.
Yes.
Like a hopeless family, community, nation, which I think we all can sort of relate to that, because we're kind of in that space of like, how do we come out of this whole? How do we get into this? We're so disconnected as a nation. How do we come out of this?
Right.
Hopelessness will rock you to your core.
It will. And hopelessness comes from literally not seeing an end to a perpetual toxic cycle.
Yeah, because you've tried everything.
You've tried everything.
Yeah.
So if you've tried everything and you don't see an end to it, is when a hopelessness takes seed.
Yeah.
And then you just start conforming to the toxicity that is around you because you have accepted that that's the norm.
And that's when we just treat the symptom, then you have a whole bunch of frustrated people. Right?
Yep.
Rightfully so.
That feel hopeless too.
Yeah, because they're stuck and they've been doing the same thing, and now they are trying to get used to it. But what I believe, and I won't go to school for this.
Right.
All y'all therapists out there, it's my opinion. Okay. I believe that your purpose continues to come back to you in signs, relationships, or and it may be a whisper, it may be just a moment you get to do something that is attached to that and then it goes away. It may be something like you see on TV, or maybe something you see in one of your children that's a reflection or is pointing to what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's too late for anyone. But I do think we have to do a better job of tracing back to the core issue and not just continuing to beat our heads based off the symptoms that you see.
Wow.
But you need that education.
Right.
So when I think about the Black and brown community, I think about I think our parents and grandparents did the best they could do. Wellness, emotional and mental wellness has not been a priority.
Right.
We have so long just been trying to get by, protect ourselves, right? So I think people are beating their head up against the wall just because they don't know better.
They don't know. Yeah, it's an awareness tool for sure. And you said something that was key to me, and that's the word stuck, right? Stuck, and I think we talked about this a little bit last night. How feeling stuck is actually not a bad thing. It is an indicator that you have outgrown your current situation, whatever that is. Feeling stuck means it's time to level up. So being stuck is not a bad thing. It's just an indicator. It's a sign that, something needs to change.
Right.
Something needs to shift.
Right.
What is that thing?
Right.
Right? And then going to do that and going through what is probably going to be an uncomfortable season. But that's how you level up.
Right.
You don't level up in the good. The level up comes through the process. Right, of the uncomfortable,
right?
Because some people are good at learning the lessons in the good.
Yeah, I think there's still nuggets.
Yes.
In the good.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's still nuggets in the good, but I think the bad becomes the bad because that was the only way we were gonna get it.
To get our attention.
It
had to be drastic enough.
Yeah.
Wow. Because with everything that's going on around us, there's so much going on around us.
Yeah.
We're moving so fast
that
the only way we learn the lesson is if something drastic happens that forces us to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
We're going through it right now.
Yeah.
This pandemic forced people to watch what happened to George Floyd. You had no choice.
Right.
It was right there in front of your face. It took for something tragic and drastic to grab everyone's attention and say, this is a huge problem. Like, now as a nation, we're going through these lessons. Some are being receptive to it and some aren't.
Right.
But not all movements and all shifts require everyone. We just need enough.
Right.
To start making change.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think this pandemic is a great example of how I have to do something extreme.
Yeah.
To grab attention because we're just moving so fast.
Yes, and the pandemic is bringing, as as terrible as this has been, and the lives that we have lost, and all of the bad things that are going on right now, this pandemic is helping people find their superpower. It is forcing them to be resourceful. People have become so reliant upon a person or a job to provide their lifestyle. Now, since so many people have lost that thing that they were relying upon, you are now forced to look within to become resourceful. And as you look within to become resourceful, you identify gifts and talents that you didn't know were there. And then you apply those gifts and talents. So now you are reliant upon self. Right. As opposed to other people. Right. And within this uncomfortableness, there's a beauty that's going to sprout out on the other side of this thing.
100%. And it's going to be something so transformative.
Yeah.
That it's going to blow our minds.
Yeah.
It is a generation of kids who are firsthand seeing and experiencing something that could, if they allow it, if we all allow it, change the world.
Yes, absolutely.
Change
the world.
The world.
100%. And I'm glad you said change the world, because it's going to be a good segue into the next thing that I want to touch on briefly before we get out of here. Is the work that you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
I am super proud of you. I cannot wait for your event. I know you had to push it back, but I cannot wait for this thing to happen. Just share with the community here what you do and what your life work is.
If I had to sum it up, I would say my life work is to help create spaces for people. And I do that currently in 2 different ways.
Okay.
I am a life coach. And so with coaching, just a quick tidbit is we don't give advice. We are there as support. We are there to do no harm and support people on their journey, because I think as a person and as a coach, I believe that everyone has everything they need them already inside of them.
Yes.
They just haven't maybe taken the time, had the self-awareness, or had someone to mirror or repeat back to them what they're saying. Because you got it already.
Right.
And so I think that's why I gravitated to coaching, is because I like to support people. I like to encourage people to draw out their purpose.
Yes.
That part is important to me.
Yes.
And so I create spaces in that way. I typically work with young people, millennials, young professionals. So I do a lot of academic career coaching.
Hold on for a second. As you just explained that in such a beautiful way, the image that came in my head was this, is that there's a guy or a girl that has a shovel and they're digging the ditch. They're digging. And then you come along, you don't tell them how to dig, you pick up another shovel and stand beside them and start digging with them.
Just like they're digging.
Just like they're digging. You're not trying to force them to move too fast, too slow, tell them what to do. You're just digging with them to support them along their journey of discovering what's really inside of them.
Right. I'm doing that, but I'm also asking, why are we digging? What are we trying to find?
Yeah.
What made you start here?
Right.
Like that's coaching.
Yes.
Genuinely, I don't have a destination. I don't have an end.
Right.
I want this to work however you want this to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm genuinely just asking questions.
That's beautiful.
Right? That's the perspective, that's the approach that life coaches, have or should have.
That's beautiful.
And so I love to be in that space. Ultimately my goal is to have a wellness center.
Okay.
Like I pictured when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that's the goal, what we're moving towards in that.
Yeah.
And then I have a nonprofit called Rap City Inc. that we work with middle school kids, social emotional learning. Okay. And it too, though, is a coaching program. So it's not advice giving, some scaffolding. So you got activities, you help kind of get them in the mindset because they're cognitive. I mean, they're kids, right? So middle school age kids. So they need a little bit more support in that, but still helping them think and reflect and develop self-awareness because we need to instill in them early, everything you need is in you. You ain't going nowhere else searching for nothing to complete you or to fulfill you. That's in you. Right. Everything else should be a luxury, not a requirement.
Right.
right?
That's
and
good.
So having those types of things and instilling them in those at that age, we have more of a destination, self-awareness, self-reflection, healthy relationships, things like that, because we have to be able to measure where we start and where we end.
Gotta scale it.
Because we're in schools.
Yeah.
But definitely it is to create that environment and create spaces. And so if I had to like sum up what my life's work is I help create spaces for people.
That's beautiful. And you are doing all this as a single mother. And I believe this piece is going to help so many people. There are so many single mothers out there that have put themselves in the box of just being a parent, of just making ends meet, because it's just them. And it's like, you know what, I guess all my dreams, goals, and aspirations, I guess I'll put on hold. What has been your mindset, what has been your philosophy as a single mother that has still allowed you to go after what you know you need to be doing and not just succumb to your situation or your circumstances? Like, what gives you the grit, the determination to wake up every morning and balance not just being a mother, but a father also, and a business owner, right? All these layers that make up Davina McKnight. Where does that go get it in the midst of everything that's crazy right now? Like, where does that come from? Because this is going to help people. There's a single mother out there that's going to hear this and say, oh, that's what I'm missing.
I think that I believe and hold legacy as a value.
Okay.
My experience has been when we would walk out the door, Daddy would say, represent your McKnight. And so again, as a young child, I didn't understand, I couldn't say legacy, but I knew it meant something to him. That was important for my father, right? And so for me, how I got to value it is because I was literally taught it. Now for some other people, that's going to be different. Right? Your father may not have spoke that into your life. But I do think that is a value you can develop if you begin to develop how unique you are. Like, I think that's something that's a learned skill. And if you value legacy, you'll push through anything.
Woo!
And I don't want to speak of hardship, because I have a story to tell, but who doesn't, right? So I'm not saying that that we all have different levels and scales of the things that we've gone through. So someone else's struggle could look polar opposite than mine experience, and it be like, well, you don't know what it's like, but struggle and pain is pain. If I'm carrying it, if you carrying it, right? And so I think that I value and believe in legacy, and so even no matter how many times I got to go back home and start over, got a divorce, had to come back home, moved, had to come back home, because I had to honor my life's work instead of staying in a job that was not honoring it. But I had to start over and come back home to do so. I had to lose income that I had. I had to balance between being a mother and starting a business in a pandemic without a job to fund it. I mean, starting over, and I'm thankful to have the space, but I will continue to start over as long as it takes to provide a legacy for my daughter and for your kids and for my best friend's kids. I would do that over and over because I truly believe in legacy. I truly believe it's bigger than me. And so if my work is not done, how do I contribute to the part of changing the generations to come to do what they have to do for the next generation to come? I'll be dead and gone. I may not ever see it. But that's not what it's about. It's about contributing.
Yes.
It's about being a part of something bigger than yourself and having and being thrown up in the conversation when girl started.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
What I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
And it's not about me, but it's about my contribution.
The contribution.
That's what, for me, has been the driving force. And it doesn't happen quickly. I mean, when I got divorced, it took me, I was separated for a year before I filed for divorce. Then it took me a year and a half to get divorced. So it wasn't like no overnight process. Right. And during this, I'm not trying to go talk to no kids about self-awareness.
Right.
I'm trying to get out of bed.
Right. Man.
I'm trying to put a good face on so my daughter can see me while she eating breakfast, drop her off, and then have to go back home and get myself back together.
Right. Man, that is major. I hope you guys are getting all of this. Before we get out of here, what would you say to the community? What nugget can you leave them with when it boils down to showing up when you don't feel like it?
I think we talk a lot about showing up, like continue to show up, which yes, that's how you move through it. But I think if there was the other piece I want to leave with people is don't judge yourself how you show up. Just show up.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think the reason why some people don't continue through something is because they think they have to have something or operate or perform or feel a certain way before they show up. But I think so many times before we get to that place, the difference between someone who made it and didn't make it is they just continue to show up.
Yeah.
Bruised up, cussing and fussing, unmotivated, hungry, defeated, sad, mad. They just kept showing up and trusting the process.
Yeah.
They said it's gonna work out if I'm okay. I'm still going to this job. I'm still this. You know what I mean? They just like on autopilot, almost like I don't even know why it is doing this, but still doing it anyway.
That's big.
So that they can get out of that pit we were talking about, and then get to the other stuff that isn't obvious. I'm on the right track. Yeah. But sometimes when you're on the right track, you don't know you're on the right track yet. It doesn't feel like you're on the right track yet. You just gotta trust the process.
And keep going.
Keep
going. Woo! Guys, this was huge. So I hope this brought value, just as much value it has brought to me today. Thank you so much for speaking to the community. And you have just witnessed another episode of Block Building. And until the next time, I'll see you later. Peace.